Good evening and welcome to The Frame, an initiative of Access Framingham. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. It was a big week for the municipal government as we begin tonight with a series of key votes that took place in recent days. First on that list, just over $3 million across 13 projects were recommended by the Framingham Community Preservation Committee on Monday. After receiving about $4 million in requests through the Community Preservation Act across 15 citywide applications during the 2024 fiscal year, the committee will send their recommendations on to the City Council for final approval. $210,000 were recommended by the CPC for community housing, $120,000 for Framingham's rental subsidy program, and $90,000 for low-income families to receive rental subsidies. Meanwhile, roughly $1.3 million in CPA money was recommended for projects related to recreation and open space. That includes $500,000 for construction at Reardon Park, on the condition that the scope of work is approved within the city's annual budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Other recreation requests approved by the CPC include money for the softball complex at the Walsh and Dunning schools, boardwalk construction on the Carol Getchell Nature Trail, ecological restoration of the Cochituate Rail Trail, and the preservation of Washacum Lake. Lastly, nearly $1.5 million were recommended by the CPC for the preservation of historic sites, the largest of those grants being $500,000 for Athenaeum Hall, as well as the adjacent firehouse. Speaking on behalf of Friends of Saxonville during a public hearing on Monday, Steve Wiseman said that the project for preserving the Athenaeum, which has not been in use for nearly 3 decades, is a phased one that should take multiple years to finish.
This is only phase one, but I think it's an important phase because it will demonstrate to the residents of Saxonville and the residents of the city as a whole that the city cares about its historic structures and is willing to commit funds for their preservation and adaptive reuse.
Other historic projects given the green light by the CPC were related to the Edgell Grove Cemetery's Tomb House, the Framingham History Center's Academy Building, the Memorial Building, and Village Hall. CPC members hope their recommendations will go before the City Council at some point in April. Meanwhile, a decision on the ongoing school bus shortage has been made by the Framingham School Committee. The group unanimously voted on Wednesday to stick with their current vendor, NRT Bus Incorporated, for the upcoming school year, with the expectation that an in-house busing model would be developed for the following year. NRT's contract with the city has called for 77 drivers to bring students to and from classes, but this year only 57 drivers at most have been able to serve those routes. In turn, the school committee has been left with essentially 2 choices: either keep NRT around or switch to a model where bus drivers would become city employees. Executive Director of Finance and Operations for the district, Lincoln Lynch, told the committee that the odds of getting enough in-house drivers hired by the start of the school year in the fall would be, quote, very low. School Committee Vice Chair Jennifer Moshe of District 3 believes that the best course of action is to prepare an in-house model for the start of the 2025-26 school year, while keeping NRT around in the meantime, a plan that Lynch and her other colleagues agreed with.
Basically, you're creating a new business. Is there any guarantee that it's going to be better? Nope, but we can make sure that we're doing it correctly and that the day we're going to go live in-house, we're 100% where we're supposed to be.
Lynch mentioned that the related transportation request within the school district's 2025 fiscal year budget can be dropped with this plan, while still keeping the long-term in-house system in focus. Adam Freudberg of District 4 has been a staunch supporter of in-house busing, though he did agree that it would be unrealistic to get that model ready for this August. He said that a plan for the switch can be prepared and ready for the start of July in 2025.
Let's continue to hammer this out, and I think if this motion passes tonight, I think that's the next step of the district rights implementation plan. And you have time to set this up for success, and it gives us time to continue to talk to our partners in government, the mayor, the city council. We need a team effort.
Members of the local delegation on Beacon Hill attended Tuesday night's city council meeting to update city officials on key efforts at the State House and to hear what some of the pressing community needs are. State Senate President Karen Spilka of the 2nd Middlesex and Norfolk District was in attendance, along with State Representatives Kate Donahue, Danielle Gregoire, Jack Patrick Lewis, and Priscilla Souza. Spilka noted that while state revenue collections have declined, Governor Maura Healey's 2025 fiscal year budget is still being combed over by state legislators, and both senators and representatives will have a better idea of what Framingham can expect in terms of state funding later in the spring.
So being fiscally cautious at this time is wise. It's early, so we will have more numbers to base our final numbers on.
Spilka added that she's continuing work on local projects such as the creation of a regional justice center within the city, building a parking garage adjacent to the memorial building, and the cleanup of the contaminated General Chemicals site. The group of representatives addressed their efforts in Boston related to topics like upgrades to parks, trails, and transportation, as well as promoting commerce downtown, highlighting drug treatment and prevention resources, and continuing to advocate for local educational improvements. City councilors went on to inquire about a wide range of topics that are impacting Framingham residents: the ongoing migrant crisis, violence at local schools, the status of MCI Framingham, and local healthcare centers, along with housing and zoning being just some of the issues that city officials have reached out to the state delegation for assistance or insight on. The council and Mayor Charlie Sisitsky took the time to thank Senator Spilka and the representatives for showing up to listen to their thoughts and questions.
We know you care, even though two of you only represent a small part of Framingham. You show up and you're engaged, and that's very important to all of us.
A joint session was held on March 13th at the Memorial Building between the Framingham Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals, as both groups discussed the MBTA Communities Law. Sarkis Sarkeesian, the city's Director of Planning and Community Development, reminded officials that Framingham is in compliance with the MBTA Communities Act through December 31st. In basic terms, the law requires municipalities served by the MBTA to have certain zones with housing affordability requirements and multifamily housing permitted as of right. The consequences of not being compliant with the MBTA Communities Act could be a loss of state funding sources, as well as potential litigation. State grants have helped fund numerous local projects recently, according to Sarkeesian, such as the renovation of Mary Dennison Park, upgrades to stormwater infrastructure, and the development of rail trails.
It would impact the city of Framingham, and the city of Framingham has been very successful in getting these grants, and we're going to continue to pursue the grants, and we'd hate to have this taken away from us.
Sarkeesian stressed multiple times during last Wednesday's meeting that being compliant with the MBTA Communities Law does not necessarily mean that units have to be built. The city just has to create zones for affordable units. Planning Board Chair Christina Johnson requested additional infrastructure data as officials work in tandem to develop recommendations for zoning. Public comment sessions on the matter are also slated to be scheduled as the year continues. You can learn more about the stories you've seen tonight and more happening across the city by logging onto our website, www.theframe.news. Need-to-know updates can be found there during the week, along with other information that matters to Framingham residents. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter to stay in the loop with your new local source for news. Also, if you have a tip for us, we'd love to hear about it. You can email us at theframe@accessfram.tv, or you can give us a call to our tip line. It's 508-216-0003. We're going to take a quick break now, but when we return, the 12th anniversary celebration for the Brazilian American Center in Framingham is on Saturday. We took a visit to Brace to learn about the event, as well as the important services the organization provides. Stick around. We'll be back after this.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Welcome back in as it's time now for our weekly focus. On Saturday, March 23rd, BRACE, which is short for the Brazilian American Center, will be celebrating its 12th anniversary here in Framingham. BRACE is a nonprofit organization that focuses on supporting, educating, and empowering the immigrant community. BRACE provides community members with important services related to things like health insurance and documentation, and also puts on events like Festa Junina celebrations as well as art exhibitions. We sat down with Liliane Costa, the executive director of BRACE, to learn more about the important work her and her team are committing themselves to.
BRACE was created in 2012 by Father Scaravelli. When he came to Framingham, he already had the idea to create an organization to help the immigrants community here, and he found this building empty. And he said, well, it's time to do that.
Okay, obrigada.
I think the people need this kind of work because they come here, they don't speak English, they don't know how they navigate the system in here, and they need a place to come where they are comfortable to be, where they can ask any question, and we are here to help them on everything they need. We can't do everything, but we can give them real information. It's my dream job. I love it.
To help people, what would you say is your favorite aspect of this job?
To help people.
Yeah.
I think to make a difference on the lives of this community in here.
Of this community. Now, for people who may not be aware of the services that BRACE provides, maybe they are in need of some of those resources. What do you provide here at the center?
We can help applying for health insurance. We help with Brazilian documentation. We have some kind of referrals, like if a family needs furniture, we make the referral to them to go to another organization and get the furniture. We help with everything they ask. Like today someone called me and asked where he can find help to his nephew. He is a drug addiction right now. He needs some help with mental health too. We can refer the people for other organization who has the resources to do that. We have working with a lot of other organizations in Metro West, in Boston area, Healthcare for All in Boston. We work with Household Codes in Acton. We MIRA, Massachusetts Immigrant Alliance, MAPS, a lot of organizations to bring these resources for the people and find places where they can go and have people who can speak Portuguese to help them, like doctors, housing, everything they really need.
Liliane added that BRACE has come a long way since its humble beginnings as a two-person, part-time team, as the organization has grown tremendously in its expertise. She said it's been helpful to be more established and well-known within the city. Their efforts to grow continue, as BRACE is hoping to be able to provide legal services to community members at some point in the future. The 12th anniversary of BRACE is being celebrated in tandem with their third art exhibition, which will take place on Saturday at 8 p.m. at 560 Waverly Street. The event is free, and everyone is invited to explore the work by talented Brazilian artists. Liliane noted that many of the artists are self-taught. You can learn more about them and their art by visiting BrazilianAmericanCenter.org. Now, if you find yourself taking part in the celebration at Brace this weekend, we would love to hear from you on social media. You can tag us on Instagram and on X at @FrameNews_. Daily updates can be found on both of those pages. You can also subscribe to the Access Framingham YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new Frame episodes go up every week. Check out our Facebook page as well, just by searching for The Frame. Looking ahead now to our weather forecast, the first few days of spring have been a little chilly, and that should also be the case on Friday. Sunny during the day with highs in the low 40s and lows in the low 30s. Expect rain throughout the day on Saturday with a chance for a snow mix early on in the morning as well. Certainly doesn't sound like spring weather there. Highs on Saturday in the upper 40s with lows around 30. On Sunday, partly sunny skies early on with more cloud coverage into the evening, highs in the mid-40s and lows in the upper 20s. Coming up on The Frame, a slate of meetings related to potential community improvements are on the docket here in Framingham. Learn how you can make your opinions heard and get involved. But before that, our team here at The Frame wants to remind you that it's because of Access Framingham that we're able to present local news to you. We'd like to take a moment to check out another project that's been in development here at Access Framingham, your local independent nonprofit media center. Our most recent volunteer of the year, Doug Hawes, paid a visit to the AFTV studios and expressed himself on the drum kit. Access Framingham was able to capture the rockin' highlights. Let's take a look now. Let's shift gears into what else is happening locally, as a slate of public meetings and events related to community improvements are on the horizon here. Citizens are welcome to sit in on a meeting regarding Washacum Beach's redesign on Tuesday, March 26th. Parks and Rec staff members will be present at the meeting, which will run from 6 to 8 p.m. at Loring Arena, to provide updates on the Washacum project and to hear what residents want to see included in that scope of work. From one recreation project to the other on Tuesday, residents are also invited to a groundbreaking ceremony at Mary Dennison Park at 4 p.m., as the site is set to undergo a big renovation. With Avery Dennison Corps picking up some of the tab for the roughly $43 million project, the park will provide a multi-use field with a synthetic turf, a natural turf field for softball, a new playground, a splash pad, and more. The new Mary Dennison Park is expected to be ready at some point next year. Residents are invited to a pair of community meetings on Saturday as well regarding community gardens that could be developed in South Framingham. City officials are working with both Transition Framingham and the Framingham Community Gardens Working Group to earmark Community Preservation Act money for the potential creation of community gardens at Roosevelt Park and Bates Road Park. Residents can attend these weekend meetings to learn more and to share their ideas. The first meeting will take place at Roosevelt Park from 1 to 2 p.m. on Saturday, while the second will be held from 3:30 to 4:30 at Bates Road Park. For more information, visit www.framinghamcommunitygardens.org. Mayor Sisitsky's series of district-wide meetings this year will continue in District 6 on Thursday, April 4th. Residents from the district are invited to Framingham State's Entrepreneur Innovation Center to ask questions, raise concerns, and provide their thoughts to city officials. The meeting will run from 6:30 to 8:30 that evening. This year, Sisitsky has made it a goal to hold public meetings in all 9 of the city's districts. And finally tonight, residents are being advised that the City of Framingham's Health Department moved this past weekend. It's not a big difference in location, however, as the department transitioned from the Memorial Building's top floor to 188 Concord Street, which is right next to the Memorial Building. Both the Facilities Department and the IT Department within the city also made the move over alongside the Health Department. The health department is now on the first floor of 188 Concord Street. That'll be it for this week's Framingham News in Focus. For everyone here at The Frame, we'd like to thank you for tuning in tonight. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.